Hey, my name is Ben Rhoades, and I'm going to be presenting on microplastics in the Potomac and Anacostia Rivers. So, what are microplastics, right? Let's start with that. Microplastics are pieces of plastic between a third of a millimeter and 5 millimeters. And so you can see on the left some examples of pieces of plastic that might be confused for microplastics but aren't. And then on the right, pieces of plastic in one of our samples, things that have been put through 5 and a third millimeter sieves and are definitely in that size range. So, why do we care about microplastics, right? So, first of all, they're a pollution, right? And they can act as a vector for toxins. So, persistent organic pollutants, things like DDT and other sort of oily pollutants, tend to absorb onto microplastics. And so, when concentrated on microplastics, they can act as a vector for a variety of aquatic organisms that then eat those microplastics or ingest them in different ways. And then humans have been found to ingest microplastics through seafood and other means. And so, what we're interested in is where are microplastics locally? And so, there's been one study in the Chesapeake Bay watershed that links microplastic abundance with population density. So, we thought we would try to do a similar study in the National Capital Region on the Potomac and Anacostia Rivers. So, how did we sample? Um, so we use this Manta net that is on the slide here. It's a net that floats on the top of the water and collects microplastics that are floating at the surface and has a standard sized opening so that we can calculate the amount of water going through. And where you can see in the back of that photo, the Washington Monument. You can see on the right, we have a map of the 3 sampling sites and then all of the trawls we did within those sampling sites. So Anacostia, Hunting Creek, and Gunston Cove. The maps on the left here, they show the different watersheds of the sites that we sampled, and on the right you can see the definitions for developed land that we used. So we used a program called StreamStats available through the USGS to delineate the watersheds of the sites that we were looking at specifically, and then get data on the percentage of developed land within those sites. And what we found was that as percentage of developed land increases, the concentration of microplastics increases as well. And that was a statistically significant finding. But something that complicates that finding is that the amount of rainfall at Hunting Creek at the 2 days that we sampled, there's a dramatic difference in the amount of precipitation as well as the amount of microplastics. So that could be a variable that we look into in the future. And so, along with some other variables that we're interested in, like looking at population, like the Yonkos study did in the Chesapeake Bay watershed at large, the intensity of development, the land use classification we had a very broad definition of development, so tightening that down to maybe impervious surfaces or something else. And then also just collecting more data would be a good next step. But the things that we did learn for sure are that there are microplastics in the tidal rivers of the National Capital Region, and that for the data that we found, microplastics concentration can be correlated with urban development. So thank you all for listening. These are some photos of the team that worked on this project. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.